it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if that's what these. I've heard other reviewers talk about pre-pros and like, oh, the stereo separation, the imaging is so much better. Is it just that they have less noise?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
What else? What else? I mean, everybody's like, oh, it's good. It's good. Like, I plugged in that AV10 and the 7706, and like, yeah, they work. Did I hear angels singing to me? No. Like, I don't understand. And I think that could be it. You could be just picking up noise through the RCA connections.
So are there any Denon Marantz with balanced XLR outputs? Which ones have balanced?
Not any Denons. Not any. Denon doesn't make a pre-pro.
Oh, okay. So the Marantz pre-pro does have.
Yeah,
I think that's what people are hearing.
8805, 8805A, 8803. Those are all Marantz. I guess they didn't want to cannibalize the Marantz sales for a pre-pro, so they don't make one that's a Denon. That kind of makes sense.
Oh, I'm not an expert when it comes to the electronics part. Aaron, you measure electronics, so you know what I mean.
I'm not either. Yeah, I just measure them. So I only do the basics.
But does it make sense? Because balanced XLR, right? The idea is like XLR is supposed to be more resistant to noise.
Yeah,
right.
It's supposed to. Was it like an extra? Is it 6 dB higher or something? I can't remember now. I don't really pay much attention to it. I can Google it really fast.
So I'm just surprised that the noise can come from the power and through the RCA outputs. Like, I would think there's some kind of filtering that happens in the AVR somewhere. I don't know.
It's about the.
I did ask the guy at JL, our friend at JL Audio, and he's like, "Well, that kind of makes sense. Like, the RCAs are sometimes grounded to this, and they may not be using a 3-prong, and so the noise has to go somewhere."
Right.
Right.
And I'm like, whatever you say, sir.
Yeah.
So whether somebody would hear the difference, I think would also depend on how noisy is your power. So in my apartment, everything was silent, right? It was really quiet. It's not until I got into this garage setup, I'm like, where this noise come from? And I can hear it turn on and off. Like when an appliance or something big comes on, more noise comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lion Madge says, I thought XLR is only for really long runs. That is also true. But at the end of the day, when you've got how much shit do we have back there? Right? I'm looking at this like rat's nest of wires like that my mom had here. She's got like security camera, CCTV going through there. She's got Dish Network. I've got like now like a bunch of like wireless things going on here, that Revolution player, Blu-ray player, Apple TV, and all these speakers, Xbox, PlayStation 5, all this shit. Like interference is there. This is what interference sounds like. Right? There's something there. And the balance connection, I actually made a video on the difference between balanced and unbalanced. You guys should check it out. It explains it pretty well. But at the end of the day, if you are using short runs, you could still get interference with the RCA. That's all.
Look at this is how it looks in the back of this one. Let's see. Window. It's pretty messy back there. No?
Yeah, that's just the top shelf.
Yeah, I like that angle.
Billy P says balance has one input that has reverse polarity to cancel noise.
Yeah, and I think it's 3 dB. I said 6 dB, but I just double checked. I think it's 3 dB, typically higher voltage.
Yes, 6 dB.
So, 6 dB. Okay, I don't know anymore then. I give up. No. It's something.
Yeah. So anyway, for any of those who are interested in maybe looking into a pre-pro, just know that it costs more money because you have to buy amplifiers for everything, right? So if you're not already doing that, you got to buy amps for every channel. So that's expensive. And it's almost like, do you need it? Is your system not sounding good right now? Do you have noise coming in through the system? If you're not having any of these issues, I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day about that. They were saying, I think they were saying, is it true that amplifiers, like external amplifiers, are better than an AVR? And I was like, I mean, it's always like with audio, it's always almost always it depends.
That was
meaning, like, I mean, seriously, like, it depends on what you're going to do. So,
I mean,
I don't like that answer.
I would say just an emphatic yes, due to the fact that you are now guaranteeing, let's say it's a 3-channel amplifier, you are now guaranteeing 140 watts per channel to your front stage, right? So yes, you have more headroom. You have for the dynamic shifts in the content, right?
Yeah, you probably lower the noise floor as well. Hopefully. Yeah, I think that was basically my reply, was that, the power supply is built into these things. If it's rated at 80 watt by 2, it might not actually do 80 watt by 2, when they're both actually driven hard. And then, like you said, a compression, but then your speaker's got to be able to take that output. I think, like, for most people that are probably in a small to medium size, an AVR is probably adequate. But if you're medium to large, then you might want to look at getting a separate amplifier.
I was just wondering, if you have noise coming in through the RCAs like I was with the 6700H and pretty much every AVR I put there, if you're not using the RCA outputs, if you're just using the built-in amps, I wonder if you get the noise from that.
I mean, it depends on what it depends on what the source of the noise is. I mean, probably not. Most of the time when you add external stuff into it, you're probably introducing like some kind of ground differential or something like that. So one of the things in like car audio that we used to always do, and we still do in some cases, is you'll ground the RCA to the chassis of the amplifier itself, or you'll run a dedicated ground from the head unit to a spot where everything is grounded. Because a lot of cars will have different star grounds, right? And then if you are using a different ground for your head unit, maybe it's at the stock location, in the back of the dash, and then maybe your amplifier's in the back of the car. So it's got a difference in the ground potential there, or a difference in the ground resistance, and that can increase noise. So a lot of times what we do is just gut the whole car, and you pick one central location where everything is going to be grounded, and you drill out a hole and you just ground everything there. So you run extra long wire. So maybe you'll use an 8 gauge instead of a 12 or a 14 gauge off the head unit, and then run it to that spot. And the same thing for the amplifiers and all that.
So just real quick, to Reverend Slim said, sometimes it isn't even power. You can get noise from cables
with shielding.
Iffy shielding. So, with my setup, I was trying to figure out what the cause of the problem was. And I specifically routed all the power to one area over here, speaker kit, speakers over here, RCAs, and, separated them out, make sure my Wi-Fi is like certain distance away, all these different things. And it wasn't that. I've switched the cables out. It's just the power in there. So.
Yeah. Benji Gators, my gaming PC introduces a ton of noise to my speaker system went on. That happens to me too when I have this set up like I do right now, where it's audio is going from the.
I will say that I don't think a particular cable, like, some people are into the fancy power cables.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to fix it,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, most likely not.
I have a fancy cable and I don't use it. It's
run a ground Denon to your amp and see if it stops.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Oh, yes. Now, if you can't catch the show, we do have an audio version at anchor.fm/daily HiFi. So make sure to go on over there if you like to listen to the show.